Hi everyone, Dina and Kira here from Future Focused Parenting, and we are excited to take a few minutes to share with you about our parenting philosophy as well as a little bit about us and what we do. My name is Dina Thayer, and I'm a parent coach, and I come to this profession by way of the birth world. So I spent nearly 2 decades as a doula, childbirth educator, and I still work as a birth consultant and doula sometimes. I also specialize in parent coaching around infant sleep, blended families and step parenting challenges, and discipline issues.
And I'm Kira Dorian. I come to this work by way of mental health. I am a mental health professional, and I specialize in working with parents who are preparing for parenthood for the first time, looking at how can we set them up for success, how can we set them up for a smooth transition into parenthood so they feel like they're working as a strong team. And I also love to work with parents to help instill emotional intelligence in their children. It's my jam. I also do discipline, but with that nod to emotional intelligence as well.
So we'll start with just sharing a little bit about the philosophy itself. And one of the hallmarks of it is a mentality of being future focused. So when we work with families, and even when we talk on our podcast, we're constantly mentioning this future focused mentality, looking ahead to what kind of person are you trying to raise? What would you like your child to look like well into the future? What kind of character traits and attributes do you hope they'll display? And this really helps families to do what is best rather than what might seem easy or expedient in the moment. It's also how we came up with the name for our podcast, which is called Raising Adults. Both Kira and I have some frustration with the phrase raising children because it's really not what we're trying to do. We really want to raise fully functioning, responsible adults.
And so one thing that helps a lot when you're having that future-focused mentality is to come back to what we call a strong why. Understanding why you are choosing to behave in this way with your child. Understanding why you are taking the time to have this conversation or stick to your guns in this area makes it that much easier to do so. We are all about being preventative instead of diagnostic. We want to be proactive instead of reactive. And so that means having a clear why as to why we are making this parenting decision.
And it's so helpful when the going gets tough too. When you have a strong intention to come back to when things are hard, it can really help you stay the course and hang in there. And this is where we come up with our catchphrase of turning surviving into thriving. We really believe that families who operate in this way and have that future focused mindset with a strong why are able to really enjoy parenthood and not just white knuckle it, but really thrive during those years. Another thing that makes us unique is that even Kira and I are not identical, even though we're both really passionate about good parenting. And so we operate from some different paradigms, which makes our conversations on the podcast really fun. And I think gives our listeners a sense of what it's like to hear different viewpoints, and in that to help find their own viewpoint, to hear their own voice when there are so many others competing for our attention. So one unique way in which we're different, there are many, but one of the ways that stands out the most is that I operate in a faith paradigm because I'm a Christian, but Kira is an agnostic Jew. And what this means is sometimes when we're chatting on the podcast, we may not agree about our why on a certain parenting issue, or maybe even the how or the what looks different. But what we really love is that our listeners are getting to hear civil and kind dialogue, even when there's disagreement. And interestingly, a lot of times, even when our why is different, the how and what end up looking pretty similar in our homes.
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to give you an example of what this might look like. We're really passionate about our tools being tangible. We're frustrated with parenting philosophies that are all philosophy and no answers to how do I actually do that. So a great example is the toddler meltdown in the grocery store. We've all been there. Even the best parents in the world have kids meltdown in the grocery store. And here's the difference between how a future-focused parent may behave from a non-future-focused parent. Someone who's just surviving is going to want to shut that tantrum down immediately. And they're pretty much going to do whatever it takes. So they may bribe their child with the Cocoa Puffs, or they may yell at their child. There could be all sorts of things that would immediately shut it down, but that aren't actually looking at the lesson that's an opportunity to learn here. A future-focused parent has a strong why. I want a child who behaves appropriately in public settings. I want a child who understands how important it is that we treat others with kindness and we're considerate of other people. So in the grocery store, it might be a little bit harder to have to abandon the cart of groceries or to stop what you're doing to get down to your child's level and have a conversation about this is not appropriate behavior. Your feelings are okay, but this behavior is not. And to take the time to really work with your child to get through that tantrum to the other side, that may be harder, but it's also what is best and what is going to help you raise the adult that you're looking to raise.
And what's so great about that too is it's preventative for future, so that you can go into the store the next time and hopefully avoid these same kinds of episodes. And it just makes such a difference in how you tackle your parenting when you can come back to that why, talk to them, make sure to validate their feelings. I love Kira's take on emotional intelligence, and you'll hear us talk a lot about that. But what's nice about this is now you've heard an example where you can apply this. And Kira mentioned this, but it's really important to us that when we speak or when we're guesting on a podcast or when we're just recording the podcast, that our listeners or our audience really get to hear that we move very quickly from the theoretical to the practical. We want you to know how to apply our philosophy, not just what it is. If you'd like more information about us, definitely check out our podcast, Raising Adults. We're on all major podcast platforms. You can also find us at our website, futurefocusedparenting.com.
Or you can check out our YouTube channel, which is Future Focused Parenting. If you'd like to be in touch, our email is info@futurefocusedparenting.com. Thanks for watching.